Dun, 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 dun. Hello, where are you? Why are you guys? Why are you hiding? Don't hide. Come on out. Hi, everybody. Welcome to 420 Live. Jeff Kravitz here for the Thursday 420 Live edition. As you know, we come to you live on beautiful Mondays to Fridays. 420 wherever you are, but 420 for me here on the West Coast. I just shared a link in the comments because today I have a very special guest. I have Scarypoolparty. Alejandro Aranda is my guest today, American Idol finalist, and his new record, DOOM HOLOGRAM, is out now, and his new single and video, Judas, is out. I watched it last night. I highly recommend you, after your 420 break, you check this video out because I think it is a mind blower. And getting into an artist and learning about an artist before you interview them is one of the true gifts that's been given to me from this pandemic, is being able to do deep dives into different people's lives that I get to talk to. And fortunately, I have friends in high places. My friend Jonathan Shank is a longtime entertainment manager, and he's going to be on the show in a couple minutes to talk about his new business. His old business, new company, but and he's going to introduce Alejandro. And I just wanted to catch up with everybody, take your temperature, because we're all doing that these days. Make sure everybody's doing all right. I saw an incredible article that was in Rolling Stone just now about how live music is coming back to full capacity. It's like this has never happened before in places like Texas and places like Nashville. It looks like the Ryman is going to open back up. It already has, doing limited amount of people in the shows. Red Rocks is back doing 175 people shows. Red Rock seats 9,000, granted, so there's a lot of dancing room there. And the tickets are at a premium, but music is coming back, and artists are figuring out a way to get their message across in these times. We have a captive audience. That's one of the reasons I started the show, because I had all of you guys sitting at home wondering what they were going to do or watch, and tired of watching all the reruns or the news. And we use this place as a place of distraction, a place of education, and a place to come in and, try to talk to everybody about what's going on out there. And one of the biggest things going on right now is our election. And, tomorrow we're going to have Andy Bernstein on from Headcount and Jen Glickman from the Cannabis Voters Project. And we're going to talk about the importance to making sure that you are registered to vote and checking your registration. I went and checked my registration the other night and found out I was not registered to vote, even though I voted in the primary. So I think it's really important that you go check your registration. Even if you think you're registered, it doesn't cost you anything to do it. And you can make sure your address is correct. I had a friend of mine thank me because he was like, hey, they had the wrong address for me. So it's a good idea to go in there and check your registration and make sure that you're registered to vote. One of the banners you see come across the bottom of my screen all the time is headcount.org. Headcount's doing a phenomenal job of registering people. They're doing an interesting promotion right now with our good friends at Global Citizen, where if you sign up through Global Citizens, you can get perks from different artists like Bob Weir. You can get his autographed guitar, or I think a virtual meet and greet with Billie Eilish, or the thing that I signed up for was the virtual meet and greet with Lenny Kravitz, because let's face it, what would be better than Kravitz and Kravitz together? Not that I haven't been trying to get Lenny for the show. I always working on trying to get Lenny on to check it out. But it'll happen one day. I'll get Lenny on. I think Lenny wants to talk. Anyway, I'm hydrated. I got the meat of my message off my chest. Vote, register to vote, check your registration. I'm going to be like a broken record between now and November 3rd. Well, you can only register for another couple weeks, so you'll be fortunate to hear that. Anyway, so today I'm very fortunate to have an incredible talent come on, and every talent has a team. And part of the team for Scarypoolparty is Jonathan Shank. Jonathan is a longtime friend. There is a circle, a crew of us. I can't even talk about it. I would call it almost like a brotherhood that is amongst a whole East Coast, West Coast conglomerate of people that, it's like, I want to blame Bonnaroo as one of the things that really united us all together to become a team and a group of friends, all in the industry, all helping each other and looking out for each other all our lives. And I am pleased to welcome John Shank to the show. Hello, John.
Hey, Kravitz. Thanks for having me, man. What's up? Good to see you.
Good to see you. How's your pandemic been?
Well, first of all, well said. And I do think that, whether it was Bonnaroo or any of the other, dozens of festivals that we were seeing, 15, 20, 25 years ago, I think that's, there is a certain, thread there of people that just love live music. And that's, honestly what brings us together today. And, I'll also reiterate your message. I think it's great you're having Andy Bernstein on, another old friend of ours, to talk about head count and voter registration. And it's, the most important election of our lifetime. So I hope that, any small part helps, and every vote counts. So I just hope that everybody does get out there and use their voice. How's my pandemic going? Well, it's going as well as can be. I have a joke that I say that okay is the new good, right? So I mean, I think that the most important thing is I've been just spending my time trying to help as many people in the industry and also other friends just to get through this time and to use their time constructively and creatively and I think it was something like it was a pivot that went to a reset that's now a restart, and I think that we all kind of have to be thinking in outside the box ways of how to be creative and how to basically get, art in front of people and also how to connect, right? Like we've all had to relearn how to connect with others. And I was sitting here thinking as you were doing your intro, I can't believe it took the pandemic to get you to be a host of a podcast or a radio show. I mean, you're a natural for this.
Well, I had some deep father issues in that regard. Not to get into my therapy, but my dad was a radio talk show host for 56 years in New Jersey, Pinky Kravitz. And all my life, people are like, you're going to be just like your dad. And then all your life, you try not to be like your dad. And the funny thing is, at a certain point, you come to the point where you're like, you are your dad, you are your parents, that they made you, and you got to at a certain point kind of embrace what the gifts are or understand what some of the curses are too that they give you and try to move on from them. So I was just glad to, like you said, we're rethinking everything right now. So you're in the entertainment business. You're an entertainment manager. My feed has been littered in the past couple of days with good friends of mine that have been with successful agencies now for decades that had to go off on their own. Talk about launching your own company at a time like this and making that decision to leave a big brother.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I think that first of all, I'm super grateful for all the time that I had at Red Light. And as you know, there's so many, close friends of ours and close, relationships and, grateful. They always supported my ideas as left of center as they may have been. And it just felt like a natural time for me to pivot and, to kind of bootstrap something new, and also to be able to give other people on my team the freedom to grow on and find their own paths, and to be able to really establish themselves as executives in this business, and to be able to gain their own footing. And so that was really important to me in terms of keeping my team together. And then of course what goes along with that is being able to give the same support to the artists that we work with. And a lot of what we do is collaboration and working with others. And so to me, making sure that we had that ecosystem together and, able to continue to provide the service that our artists are used to is really the most important thing to me. And it was a really natural path, and honestly the transition's been pretty smooth.
And it's forced us all to bubble to the top, I think, and have to move out on our own, because these are businesses, Red Light, Paradigm. These are companies that were so ingrained in everything that happened. And all of a sudden, they're not important anymore because everything's marginalized. So they, when your source of income stops, everybody has to rethink what's going on. What's it like to have an artist now and release new music at a time like this, and working on a strategy?
Well, listen, content is king right now, and being constructive and productive and maintaining positivity are paramount right now. And I'd say that, I'm lucky to work with artists that want to put music out there, that want to put art out there, and that continue to be creative. I think that that's the most important thing that people can be doing, because for the rest of the world, they're still dependent on connecting with their favorite artists and connecting with their favorite songs. And so I really feel like that the next great wave of real records, not just songs, of real records, are going to come out of this period, because of people being having to basically focus on recording and other forms of getting their art out there. So I really feel that and not only that coupled with the global climate and all of the social injustices and other things that our society is dealing with right now, that generally speaking, in addition to art being a great support system for people, it's also great art comes out of tough times, and our country and our world, I don't think, has ever seen tougher times. So
yeah, well, when I saw Scarypoolparty's new video, it's definitely influenced by the times. I mean, you have that feeling, and it's just such an intense song. Talk about growing an artist from a guy who plays guitar on the street into this. I mean, I don't even know how to describe the music. I mean, for me, it was like a cross between Nine Inch Nails meets Korn meets Linkin Park meets so many different things, all mixed up in one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's the beauty of it, right? Is that Alejandro really can cross genres so seamlessly, and that really allows for so many opportunities to be able to develop. And I think that one thing is that we always just keep focused on the music and try to serve the kind of the process based on the art leading the way, and just continuing to try to be creative. I mean, I really, honestly, what Alejandro brings to the table is, in addition to his unbelievable talent and virtuosity, is just his soulfulness and his ability to be able to connect with people. I really feel like that when people come into his orbit, that just like you were describing about Judas, it really draws people in. And I think that, he just has a very unique entry point into the music culture, and really combines so many amazing elements, from classical to, kind of, being influenced by Deftones or Nine Inch Nails or Nick Cave, and then, swinging that, over to classical music. I mean, it's just an incredible gumbo of musical influences, and, coupled with just, a really, genuine, authentic soul. I think that's really, and I think people, people right now are looking for real, authentic things to connect to. And I think that he offers that. So in terms of development, I mean, we're just excited to try new things. He's not afraid to try new things. And our goal is just getting out in front of music lovers, getting out in front of people. And, it's, people that have an appreciation for all those artists that you just mentioned: Muse, Radiohead, Deftones, Nine Inch Nails, and then stretch that over to John Mayer or classical music. I mean, it really allows for the audience to be wide, and for a lot of music lovers to find something unique to dig into. And I think so much of what we listen to these days is, sounds the same, that it's just completely refreshing to enter into, something where you just don't know what's right around the bend, right? Like that's what's exciting about music. And that's why we go see live music, right? Because you just don't know what's right around the corner. And I think that's what he brings to the table, and honestly, like, he surrounds himself with great folks. And what I recommend is, for anybody that's going to listen to Doom Hologram, spend the 40 minutes and listen to it top to bottom. That's the way a record is supposed to be listened to, not the way that people, consume music now, one song here on Spotify or, I think if people can spend the time to absorb it as a piece of art, I think that, there'll be really positive results.
Well, I'll tell you what, my daughter opened up the door in the middle of the record and was like, what the fuck are you listening to? Because the whole room's vibrating. And I was like, hey, this is my guest tomorrow. You got to get hip. And then we sat down and started watching videos, and I started giving a little education. And she was like, why don't you introduce Alejandro so we can get into it?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's it. I think he's hanging out here somewhere. So,
I'm going to bring him in. Say hi. Here he comes, Alejandro.
Yo.
Before I let your manager go, do you want to tell us how important it is and what your relationship is with John?
Oh, man. I mean, my relationship with John, I mean, everything you just said is like, it just means a lot. From day one, we had like a basic understanding that we both really love music. And, John's the best manager I can ever ask for, man. Him and his team have been the most amazing, like, forthgoing, just like, I have this idea, they're like, let's go for it. And as he said, we keep the music first. It's because we're music lovers. We just love music. So, yeah. Love you, John.
Yeah, likewise, brother.
All right, John Shank.
Kravitz,
my man.
Brother.
Yeah.
See you soon, my friend.
All right, looking forward to it.
Be well. Thanks for having me.
All right. Alejandro, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. Man, that was, everything that John was saying, it's just really kind of like uplifted my spirits. And even how you said, I think Red Rocks, I mean, for it to be opening up and having some kind of live music is absolutely amazing. So
yeah, you'd be happy to play it for one person or whatever, right?
Yeah, that's an iconic venue. It's dope.
Well, one of the reasons you're here and we're talking is because you're getting ready to do your first live show. Since when was your last live show?
My last live show was, we played a drive-in show in the OC. So we played, it was like a socially distanced drive-in show.
Right. A lot of those are happening right now.
Yeah, it was like 3 weeks ago. So it was pretty cool. It was dope.
It was good to finally be out and playing, right?
Yeah. It's just different feeling when you're playing live. It's just an amazing energy. You just need it.
Talk a little bit about the new record, because I was immersed in it last night, and I was like, had all these questions. When did you write it?
I wrote it. I would say the first song that's off of Doom Hologram I wrote about 8 months ago. Fully had it developed, I think, in about early 2020. And then the rest of the songs, I kind of just made this kind of idea of just telling a story through that one song. And from then on, I say like everything was within the past like 4 months. I had everything completed. So it's been pretty crazy.
How's your approach? Like, because when I was listening to it, the production layers are so intense. And even when I was watching like some of the old Idol stuff where you would start, like in the beginning, you were playing the song on acoustic and later you added the whole band later and you hear it fleshed out. In your mind, when you hear it, is it like I hear Judas now, or is that something that totally unveils itself in the studio?
Yeah, it kind of like unfolds the more like equipment that I mess with as far as like the recording, like it's just like when you're playing on a soft synth on your laptop compared to like an actual live synth like a Prophet or a Moog, like it's just going to change the vibe of the whole song. So that kind of developed with Judas. I had like this kind of like sampled kind of like Dilla type beat, and then I kind of had those lyrics that you hear on it.
They're saying they can't hear you. Is it possible to turn your level up on your end?
Yeah. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that sounds a little bit better. Yes.
Okay, great. Um, yeah, so I kind of like had this. I had this idea of like, kind of like developing a sampled beat and then layering some like dark lyrics on it, and then I say the final version that you hear now on Judas. That's probably like at least like the 16th version that I have, just layering stuff. Um, but there was a lot more in that song that I took away, and I kind of like had to really make it simple. So
Simple.
yeah, yeah, for what it is, Yeah.
I was not getting simple from that. I was getting real, yeah, and the mix of influences. I mean, how was that stuff you were listening to when you were a little kid? You're listening to like Trent Reznor, just ripping it up.
Yeah, man. I mean, I first heard Pretty Hate Machine when I was about, I think, like 8 or 9 years old. I was pretty young, and then I think later on I really started to understand like what kind of impact the Downward Spiral had on electronic music and production and all that jazz. So I have basically a throughout my years, I kind of like developed this palette of understanding like what industrial music is for me, what hardcore music is for me, what classical music is. But that's all just based off of like pure coincidence of hanging out at a friend's house and they're having they have Nick Drake Pink Moon just playing on a record just out of nowhere, just like just jamming that. And then I go to another friend's house and then they have Chopin playing like some classical jams. So it just varies on my influence, but there's definitely a lot going. Now that I think about it, there's a lot going on in that song.
Yeah, there's a lot going.
Yeah,
And the video too, like the whole concept of the guy, the holographic man walking up and absorbing the light all around him. I mean, it's simple, effective, and just a great piece. I'm really engaging, and I just thought the whole record, I hear so many different influences. And of course, after I finished Doom Hologram and went right into your first record, and I was in like some little Radiohead land there on some of those tunes too. I was just like, wow, you wear your influences on your sleeve for sure, but you make them your own.
yeah. Definitely try to like pay as much respect to the people that I look up to as far as like the artistry that they put out, and like we're influenced by so many different artists, visual artists, poets, and all that. And as far as my own music, I get so inspired when I hear a new record, and I'm just like, man, like I really want to just dive into whatever shoegaze style of guitar that is, and see what comes out of it. Like I think that's an amazing thing, and so yeah, from the first record to Doom Hologram, I kind of like really do wear my influences on my sleeve. But I say if I can bring some like small amount of people that I listen to, it can sometimes can open up the ears to people that don't really know what like an industrial band would sound like, and I feel like I have little hints of what it is to be like industrial, but I'm not fully industrial, but it can lead to that path of that person finding out like who like Skinny Puppy is in terms of like the industrial scene, like different styles of music and stuff. So.
Well, when a couple months ago, actually last year you were at Outside Lands, and one of my photographers took a photograph of you, and it kind of went viral because you had such a fan base that they were like, "Oh my God, Jeff Kravitz, you have this picture of Scarypoolparty, and this is amazing." And I had never heard of you at that point, and then I started doing research into what you were and what you were doing. And when I played for my daughter, she was like, "He almost sounds a little like John Mayer," and that was funny when John Shank said that too. That I hear a little bit of the crooner in there too, but it's changed so much over the time that you see how you've grown. It's unbelievable. I mean, do you feel that yourself as an artist? Do you feel the growth?
Yeah, I think coming from the background that I had, like before I was even on, like I got on American Idol and I got on that show. And it was such an amazing step towards my own music career now, and even like towards meeting Jonathan Shank. But before that, I was producing day in and day out, trying to figure out what worked for me and what kind of music that I really wanted to go for. And I got onto this band called Twin Shadow, and I started touring with him, playing synths and playing a little bit of percussion and singing, playing bass and producing music. And hearing old demos that I did, a lot of those old demos are in the final version of the album Exit Form that I put out last year. So those are some of the first songs that I ever wrote, and I kind of wanted to really, even just remind myself what progress I have made, and a lot of learning and a lot of failing and a lot of just trying to understand that like music and art is always changing and always evolving. And I think for my own career, I really have to just like pay homage to that feeling and emotion of, growing is endless, and learning is endless. And I think that's an amazing thing.
And it's an important revelation, because if you think you know it all, you're done. It's always learning. Someone told me if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Mm-hmm.
And I love learning. I mean, I never want to shut that off. Your style on guitar, like I watched the American Idol audition, which 2.5 million people have watched that video on YouTube, and you come on incredibly, I wouldn't say shy, but you definitely seem reserved, but you also definitely have a talent that feels like it wants to get out. What was it like to deal with the shy guy versus the guy inside? It's like, no, dude, you're not shy. We're going out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's different when you're like, when I was like a musician, like I was like going out playing bars, I was playing venues, I was trying to do my best just to play as much as I could. But when you're playing in front of cameras, it's just like a whole different thing. So I wasn't used to that. I was like, whoa, like I got there and I was like, man, this is weird. Like this is like something I'm not really used to. And so when I went into that audition, they were like, all right, just go in. And I'm like, oh, all right. That's why I started walking in. And I'm like, oh man, am I like walking weird? Do I smell? Like what the heck? I'm like, man, it's like, do I have eyebrows right now? Like, like random questions, and freaking myself out. And so, when I started playing, I kind of like got into a groove, and everyone on the show was so nice, and they're just like they're amazing people, them and the crew. And so it kind of like felt like a whirlwind, and it like the day was just over, like I don't even remember. It was all like a blur. But I think like the music that I was making before and making now, like it's always been there. I think it was just captured in a moment on television where I wasn't used to being in front of cameras.
Yeah, but I'm watching you come out of your shell on the show, and then asking you to do another song, and you having the balls to play original music, and not just in the audition, but during the show. I don't know if a lot of people watching know this, but you insisted on playing your own songs. I know you did a couple covers. Was that because in the beginning they're like, you have to do this XYZ?
Yeah, they had a format to the show, and I mean, even like having the XYZ, I was kind of like just asking them, which they were really nice to. They were like, "You sure you want to play your own music?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, it's a chance, it's just an opportunity." I saw everything leading up to that moment was opportunities that were presented to me, and I was just like, okay. Like, what's the worst can happen? Is give you like, well, you know what, your songs kind of suck, and I'll be like, all right, see ya, I'll go work on more music. Like, it's just like the reality of the world. It's just like either people are gonna get it or they don't get it, and either which way, it's gonna be okay. So,
were you surprised when you made it to the next round after the first time?
Yeah, I was really surprised.
You're like, what? I did?
I was like, all right.
And how about as it kept on going?
It was wild because, being like, because I grew up, I was homeschooled for one. My social skills aren't tip top. I had to learn all that as far as like, going out and playing music and figuring out what's new and all this stuff. I take everything on that first step. And so being on a TV show is like, okay, like you're dealing with TV cameras, you're dealing with producers, you're dealing with, people trying to tell you like you should play this cover of this song, you should do this, you should do that. And, I think throughout the show, I was always reminding myself, I was like telling myself, just stay true to music and music is never going to change, and be true to yourself and just let it ride, you know? And so I kept to that, and I still stick with that, because it's like, you know, I think for a show that wide based, and a lot of people watch the show, and it would be kind of like, not messed up, but it would be kind of like, it would be kind of sad if I kind of played it up to a certain thing that wasn't myself, you know? And so I was like giving that opportunity to be myself. And so I was like, well, let's see what happens. And everything kept flowing. And I was like, wow, like, this is insane, you know? Like,
and you made it to the finals, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, it was crazy. And every step of the way, you know, there was amazing people that gave really good advice. There was really amazing moments of learning and understanding even how cameras work and how producers work and how hard they work, you know? Like, I think people even don't really understand how hard it is to make a television show work as they do. So it was a lot of learning and a lot of great times, you know?
And you went and broke a format.
Yeah, it was crazy. And
I mean, for them to let you break the format, you know, I was there. We were talking about, before we started, John and Alejandro and I were talking about Kurt Cobain back there. And I was there when Kurt Cobain wanted to play, you know, he was going to perform on the Video Music Awards, and they wanted him to play Smells Like Teen Spirit, and he wanted to play Rape Me. Mm-hmm. And he came out and did sound check and played Rape Me, and the MTV execs were literally pulling their hair out. They're like, pulled him aside. You got to play the hit. You got to play the hit. You got to play the hit. And then the night of the show, he went out there and he went, Rape Me, and then broke into Smells Like Teen Spirit. Just a total ball bust to make everybody catch, and then broke into it. But he tried to break the rules, and MTV put him in the box, and I think they kind of regret that. So the fact that the producers of American Idol had the wherewithal to let you play your own songs, I think is a huge nod to their open-mindedness, and also to your stubbornness to be like, hey, this is what I want.
No, I mean, I wasn't like trying to be stubborn. I was just like, I'm just terrible. I just feel like the songs that I would try to sing, like, I'm just not.
I saw the Sorry, and I watched the Post Malone tune, and they were fine. They were great.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to pay homage to other artists, and I want to do it like as best as I can. And there was a lot of times when, you know, I was like, well, let me like fail with my own songs instead of, you know, botching someone else's. So
well, you rocked that format, and you know, you made it your own. And lucky for you, you didn't win, because the winners don't do great, but the runners-up have all killed it.
You know,
I don't know what that is with that show, but it's kind of like the curse of the idol.
Yeah. You know what? I was like thinking about that, and I was like, you know, it's what you. I feel like it's what you make of it. You know, like as far as like in terms of the realities of being under a contract, you kind of know exactly what you're going to get out of it. But as far as you as an artist, I think we're so individually, like, our souls are so individual, and I feel like if the way that you take that, it could either be one, it could be totally like, yeah, like you won the show, like you know your career's gonna tank, all that stuff, or it could be like, you know what, I'm in a better position than I was last year, and I want to take this forward and, you know, build those stepping stones into making the music that I want to make, you know. So I think it's just either or, just a mindset.
But, you know, television's an ego ruiner, a destroyer. I mean, being on television and having to work in that format, I've seen it ruin so many lives as well as make lives. But the ego is a fragile thing. How do you stay sane with all that attention?
One thing that I did when, you know, when I'm stuck up against a wall, right? I'm like in this space where like you have all these cameras on you, you have the attention of people wanting things, and, you know, you have all this pressure to be a success. I feel like for me, what kept me grounded was not only my friends and my family, but it was the thoughts of exactly where I came from, and understanding that success is, for me at least, is a mentality of, are you happy where you're at, and what makes you happy? And for me, what makes me happy is small little things. Like, I get happy when I'm watching Netflix and eating hot Cheetos on my bed, and like, you know, getting up in the morning and drinking a nice cup of coffee and hanging out with friends and go to the movies. Like, those small things of just reminding myself where I came from and what makes me happy is like what kept me, in this cycle of just, just keep going, and be yourself. And there were times when things did get really hard. I think after the show, like even Jonathan, like my manager, as manager and artist goes, you're going to have those tough times. And for me, it was a lot of hard times when it came to having the limelight pushed on you. And for me, it was like, okay, like don't break, understand who you are and keep going. That's all I kept saying. Just keep going. It's going to be okay. And, I'm very grateful for the people that were, around me, and I'm very grateful for them now. And I feel like every moment that I had, and I still have to this day with the friendships that I've made, I'm very grateful for that. So I think that's what kept me grounded, is I would say friendships.
Well, it's important to keep the people that you've loved all your life close to you, because they'll give you the most unvarnished opinion, where people that you just meet fly by night are big at blowing smoke up your butt. And that's what happens, and you get Hollywood. You don't have those influences now because nobody can get close to you because everybody's like 6 feet away or more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Plus, I was homeschooled too. So as I said before, like I'm like when this whole COVID stuff happened, they're like, "Oh man, you can't be outside. You can do that." I was like, "Yo, I grew up not going outside. I grew up not talking to anybody, so I'm good."
Yeah, well, now the whole world's homeschooled, man.
Oh man, it's nuts. It's crazy.
Yeah. Did you ever think that you'd see a change like this in your lifetime?
Oh man, no. I don't think anybody did. It's such a wild thing, man. It's wild.
It's a new paradigm. And how about now? You still write? I guess you're still writing, even though you have a new record out, right?
Yeah. I'm actually. I try to write at least one song a day. Not like full lyrics and everything, but like production and keep my creative flow. But I'm writing an acoustic album right now, and I'm just keep writing. Yeah, that's what keeps me going.
And on The Idol, you said you were self-taught on guitar. Is that right?
Yeah. Self-taught on guitar.
Were you watching videos, or were you just like, because you had so many different things happening with your style between the finger picking and the hammering and all the different things you're doing on that guitar?
Yeah. I kind of like, like as I said, I listened to Nick Drake, and Nick Drake kind of like had those alternate tunings. And actually a lot of his songs have alternate tunings, which are amazing. But I kind of, I don't even know. It was like a slow, gradual thing of trying to play guitar at first, because I'm not like, I can't really play in standard tunings. For me, it's really hard because like I'm really slow at learning stuff. So it's like it was gradually like trying to play, and then I'm like, well, I can't play in standard, so let me like look up some videos. So I would look up like for instance like Neil Young. Like you look at it as like he has like a BBC session of when he sang like Old Man,
right?
And I was like looking at his guitar playing. I'm like, man, this guy's so, he's such an amazing acoustic guitar player, but a really good lyricist. Like, I want to try my hardest just to like make a song. So I kind of like developed this style of playing because I would try to tap my palm on the strings to make like a percussion sound. Mm-hmm. And it just wasn't cutting it. I was like, man, this sounds terrible. And so I started tapping the second string with my index finger, and I kind of like developed my own style of playing over the years. And so I kind of like, it was a slow, gradual thing of just like learning alternate tunings, mostly open D and open B. It's very much, once you get a few chord formats, like you can kind of memorize it and build muscle memory. But yeah, I just taught myself how to play guitar, and took a while,
Yeah, well, the outcome is unbelievable. Like I was just watching. I play guitar. I got one over here somewhere, and I love it. It's like so much fun. But when I watched your style and the finger picking, and I was just like, wow, this is really a unique approach. And I think that's the only way you really get a unique approach on guitar is if you figure shit out on your own, and like you did. So really inspiring. I mean, your whole story, and the thing that I was trying to wrap my head on, it's only been 3 years, really, right? Well, just the fact with the 2 records and the American Idol, like everything's packed in pretty tight.
Like even before Idol, like 20, I think like I say like 2017, 2018. So 2018, I had uh, basically got this gig playing with Twin Shadow, this amazing indie artist that I've been a fan of for a long time. Hit me up out of the blue, and he's like, "Hey, like earlier 2017, he's like, I want to give you an interface, a microphone, and a guitar. Make your own demos, make your thing, do your music the way you want to do it." And I was like, "Oh, this is awesome." So then started doing that, and then 2018, you cut over there, and he's like, "Yo, you want to go on tour?" And I'm like, yeah." I was like, yeah, that'd be dope. Like I left my job, so I was like, let's go, man, let's go do this thing. And so my first show, playing with him, and playing on a real stage was it was a sold out show, opening up for Beck, and it was like insane. I was like, what is my life right now? And since then till, cut to American Idol, it was like this crazy like shift. It was like, okay, like you're a musician, you're working hard, you're making music, you're doing your thing. I want to try out for American Idol, and like I had a little break of time where I wasn't really doing anything other than waiting for the next tour, and I was like, sure, let's do it, and did that, and that's when American Idol started, and like all of a sudden my own music that I've been working on is kind of like put in that area, and it's not even like 2 years or 3 years now, and it's insane.
John was talking about how listen to the whole record and not don't listen to one song, but as a young man, and me even as an old man, knows that everybody's all about the song. Bieber will put out one song and just milk it as long as he can before he puts out another one. I mean, this is the way they're doing it nowadays. Nobody wants to commit to a record. So what's it like to compete? Like, you have an old school. When I listen to you, I'm hearing a real musician, plays his own instruments, writes his own songs, and produces some really intense music. So I can hear your creativity, but how do you compete when you have a vision like that in a society where the attention span's 90 seconds, if that?
I think the best way to approach it for my own music creativity is, I mean, like you said, compete. I think for me, I don't want to compete. I don't want to put anything to the table of like, I'm not trying to put it in your face or anything like that. What I'm trying to do is make something that's from scratch, like this is something that I made 100% music note for note, and I want that to be an art piece that I put out that's fully just going to live in that ether, and it's going to live there and be an album that I cherish, because it's something that I created. And I feel like, there's nothing wrong with putting out singles and doing that thing. I just think it's like for my own like, happiness. Like, I'd rather give out full creative freedom and full pieces of art that came from zero to the finished product and present a music story, just like how I listen to records, and I'm sure how you listen to records too. And I think that's something that I really have been trying to work on as far as like for my own personal life. Like, I'm just trying to like make something that is a testament of my own soul playing music and putting it out onto the world and putting it on vinyl and being an art piece. So I think that's where my mindset is all the time. It's just like it sits there. It's like just make art and bring the happiness of how you listen to music into your own world.
Well, Led Zeppelin had 2 rules from their manager had, and one was no singles. You know what the other one was?
What is it?
No television. You already fucked that one up though.
I did. Yeah, I did.
So I want to get into like some of the meaning of Doom Hologram. Tell me what's it about?
So Doom Hologram, I kind of like I finished the first song that you hear off of the tracks, and it's called Return to Sender, and I kind of wanted to make a song that was almost like a story of how, for myself, I was always like looking on news and looking on my computer, and I was kind of like, not to say I was really, really digging deep into the news and digging deep into politics and what the world is, but I was kind of like finding myself in, like, where my psyche was of trying to be involved with everything all at once, and it was adding a lot of stress to my life. So it was like, well, I want to make a piece of art that kind of reflects something that's pure, that's stuck inside of a computer. So Doom Hologram is that what it is, and it's an angel. Basically, the storyline of it is an angel stuck in a computer, and it's trying to be in the same wavelength as the human of the actual user, and it tells a story from the first track to the last track. And there's references of like watching movies together, like breakups that the user is talking about. Like there's a lot of things in there that I kind of wanted to tell a storyline of that, of how, we take, well, for me at least, we have all this information, and we have this, amazing network to connect to people across the world. But yet for my own anxiety, I sometimes choose to hyper focus on the negative, and hyper focus on the things that kind of like destroy my own soul. So I wanted to make a song, an album that kind of reflects that, and how it kind of can destroy you in a way of just like being, sticking with the plan, but it can also bring you to purification. And I think through track 1 through 8, you kind of hear that. And by the last track, if for whoever's listening to it, you'll hear a classical piece that kind of brings that peace. And it's like bringing that peace of mind and being okay with who you are, and being, just be you.
Well, we're hit with so many messages. We're bombarded constantly, and everybody's trying to get our attention also, not just musically, but with all these negative things that we hear when you turn on the news, or when you're trying to find out what's happening in the pandemic, or it's been unbelievably disheartening, I think, for our whole race to have to be where we are. And I think we're going to get a lot of dystopian kind of scenarios come out of this. And, this is because the art that comes out, how can it be all happy and cheery when everybody's sitting all the time worried with the weight of the world's on their heads? And, it's incredibly reflective. And I found it really engaging, and I found it really, it wasn't what I expected. And when the song started, it did not go where I thought it was going to go. So I love the unpredictability in your music.
Yeah. And, I think that's, it's a testament to learning and failing, and understanding that, like the way the world is right now, that's the world. But as far as your own community and the way you are as a person, like that's all reflected of you. So it's like, for me, it's like making those daily choices. And like when I'm writing music, like I don't want to say like, I don't want to be predictable, but I want to bring a piece of music that's going to make you like, kind of like be like, like question, like where did that come from? Like reflective on the lyrics, reflective on even production, of pushing the boundaries of how loud a bass can go. Like that can be, along to listening to an album and having that experience of bringing past memories, or, looking forward to the future. I think that's where when I record music, like I really question all of that, as far as like where I'm at, and like, do I need this change? And yeah, I mean, Judas, for example, too, like that first synth sample that you hear, I was just playing out of nowhere. Like I was honestly like really depressed and sad because the way the world was. And I started playing this piece, and I had this little kind of like atmospheric thing with the synth plugin that I made. And I was like, well, let me play it on a real synth. So I've got my Prophet 6 and put some effects on it and made that whole song, And it was a kind of like an emotional journey, and I wanted to really reflect that on the song. And that's why it takes you from point A to point B to point Z, all within like 5-6 minutes of the track. So, yeah.
So the first record you released, you were able to tour, meet your fans, go on the road, have the life of a musician, touring musician. Now you're releasing a piece of music in the middle of a time when all that touring is done. But you're playing some shows. How many shows are you playing coming up?
I think we're playing 3. We're playing 3 in the upcoming. All be streamed. We haven't really announced the other 2, but I think the Wiltern is going to be the first set in stone, which is going to be awesome.
I just shared the link for the Live Nation link for the Wiltern, and that's going to be at 6:00 Pacific time on Sunday.
Yep.
And how do you approach a tape show different than if you had a full audience? Do you have to think about theatrics and stuff like that more?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to be like falling over a lot more from trying to do front flips and keep people on their screen, but you know, I don't know. I think you just got to approach it just like just a regular like a show. Like you got to bring 100% of you and see where that takes it. But it's gonna be, it's a different experience when you have just cameras and you don't have an audience and you're playing at such an iconic venue like the Wiltern. Like, oh my gosh, like that place is so dope.
It's amazing. One of my favorite live venues in LA.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely stunning. It's amazing.
So you're gonna be there. It's just you and the cameras. The other show you played was a drive-in, and you got 2 more you're gonna do. Are they all in California, or they're moving them around?
Yeah, they're gonna be all California. It's just gonna be, we gotta do that California thing.
And so, how is the show going to be different than you would do it if it's in front of an audience?
I think it'll be different as far as like theatrics of the camera work. And like, I think the approach is different. Like especially like when I was on American Idol, like I didn't know like, to engage with an audience that's watching you. It's like, it's different approach when you're dealing with a camera compared to playing to a live audience. So I think that's going to be the different approach. Plus there's going to be, I have 2 amazing drummers that are going to be playing on the stage and, are going to have more drum solos and more guitar solos. And,
what's your configuration and band members?
Yeah. So I have Andy Prado on, he has like I don't even know, like a 4,000 piece set. I don't even know how many pieces of hardware he's got, but I got him, and I got Michael Hoff. He's the Hoff drummer. He's from Vegas. The Hoffman. And then we got Max Diaz, which is my bass player. Travis Couch, and he's my guitar player. And then I'm riding the keys and riding the synth waves. So,
yeah, I saw a video you playing the old Moog, and I'm like, wow, look at that. That thing is beautiful.
Yeah, man, the sub 37s, that thing's amazing.
You don't see a lot of them anymore on stage.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring it back, like let's bring some modulars back on stage.
Well, you're bringing back a lot of things, and one thing you're bringing back is the music, and I know your fans are grateful for that, and I really look forward to checking it out on Sunday. And like I said, I'm always inspired when I see other people that are inspired, and your inspiration from watching you on Idol to listening to the record and watching the Judas video. I mean, you're a completely different person, which is good. I mean, I love the reinvention and the fact that you can go in there and kind of put something in the studio and make it like some of the music that's on Doom Hologram. I just find that totally inspiring, and I look forward to many great things. What are some of your favorite concept albums? You must have listened to quite a few concept albums, because this is a concept album. They don't really exist anymore, right? This is a genre though that was really popular when I was growing up. I mean, Tommy the Rock Opera was a hell of a concept record. Dark Side of the Moon was a hell of a concept record. I mean, do you have a favorite that you could think of?
The favorite that I could think of, I'm not sure if it's fully. I mean, I mentioned it before, man, but the Downward Spiral. I'm not sure. It's just like, if I can say to anybody listening, like taking that piece of work and understanding that it hasn't aged, like from the first track to the last track, like you listen to that whole album and you're like, man, this thing is so current, and the lyrics and everything he's talking about is so current. And Trent Reznor, he's the man.
He's the man, and he's up. Actually, I think he was up for an EGOT. You know what that is?
No, is that like
that's pretty windy. Yeah, Emmys, Grammys, Oscar, and Tony.
Deserves it, man. He's a beast,
and he's doing an amazing job composing movies and stuff like that. Is that something you think you'd like to get into at some point?
Oh, 100%. That'd be an amazing goal. Even for Trent Reznor, like that dude's amazing. Like he's definitely an idol of mine. There's nothing but good things that I can just think of when it comes to his music, his live performances, his anything, his approaches.
Have you seen Nine Inch Nails live?
I saw him at FYF when they played a couple years ago for the first time, and man, it was amazing.
Yeah, amazing band, incredible energy, and his voice is like, wow.
It's so distinct.
He's a monster. What else? I know you're looking forward to the shows. Looking forward to the record. Anything else?
I mean, I'm honestly, I'm just looking forward to, you know, just like the future of just like bringing people in my life and, you know, growing within that. I think that's like the most thing I'm looking forward to right now. And I think like being positive in these times and, you know, this whole pandemic and the way that the world is right now, there's definitely a need of positivity. And I feel like right now, I feel like that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the positive times and the happy times and the times just hanging out with friends and just listening to music and, you know, doing the thing, man. And I'm looking forward to it.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask about the name Scarypoolparty.
Yeah. So I played a backyard show, and it was before American Idol, and I was playing this backyard show, and my friend texted me and he was like, "Hey, like, I have this show. Basically, it's gonna be tomorrow, and I need a name. If you want to play it, just let me know. But I just need a name to put you on the bill." And at the time, like, you know, I was playing this backyard show. It was a party. It was a backyard party. I don't do parties. I'm so antisocial when it comes to like crowds, and like I get really like, I don't know, I get my anxiety gets high. So he texted me that, and then I texted him back. I was like, Scarypoolparty. And he was just like, all right. Ever since then, I was just like, well, I'm too lazy to change it. And it's just like, well, let me just do that. So I rolled with it. And yeah, it's been fun. Yeah.
Well, you know what? When you listen to the record, it's scary, and it's definitely, you know, a party.
Awesome.
Alejandro, thank you. I really look forward to so much more for you. I'm so impressed in what you've done in the limited amount of time, in 3 or 4 years. Incredible. And watching the change as an artist and having a front row seat to watch someone grow is one of the true pleasures in life. So I look forward to more continued growth and more great music from you. Thank you for your talent and coming on today.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for having me. It really means a lot, truly.
Well, good luck on Sunday, and we'll be tuning in.
Thanks, man.
All right. Take care. Alejandro Aranda. Thank you, buddy. Scarypoolparty. Take care. Wow. There it is, folks. Talent. I mean, it's amazing to be able to get into someone's head like that and hear what makes them tick. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about my show, 420 Live, is that we're able to have a nice long interview and ask the questions. And I'm not reading them off a piece of paper. I just watched as much information as I could on Alejandro, and I just like to get into the conversation and let it flow like that. And it was seamless. I was never like longing for a question or what to say. And that to me is the mark of a perfectly A+ interview. Thank you, Alejandro. I look forward to more great things and your performance. I shared the link twice. And I think if you go on the Live Nation site, someone asked about the other 2 performances. All 3 performances are listed on the Live Nation link that I sent. If not, Scarypoolparty website has all the information for you. Make sure you listen to DOOM Hologram, because it is something else. And also, vote. I'm going to keep on saying that until you all register, and check your registration and make sure you're registered. Asher's, everybody's getting their chocolate bars. The 420 Live bar, you can get yours at Asher's Chocolate. It's a CBD bar. It's 8 ounces, a half a pound of chocolate, potato chips, pretzels, coconut flakes, mini M&Ms, raisins. You spend $75 at Asher's. They take 20% off, and they'll know if you use the code 420 Live to throw that chocolate bar in with your order. And I don't want you to get in the diabetic coma eating all that chocolate. So if you want to send some of it to me, you can send it to me if you have too much. And also Solo Pipe Venice, our friends at Solo Pipe Venice, the one-handed pipe. Thank you guys. And that's a Live Nation link, but it's a what do you call it? A tiny URL. Tomorrow we are going to get into it with our friends from Headcount, headcount.org. Andy Bernstein is coming on from Headcount with Jen Glickman from the Cannabis Voters Project. And we're going to talk about what they're doing to help make sure everybody is registered properly this election. Get on there, get your stuff. Peace, love, happiness, everybody out there. Oh, big hug. Thanks, Joe Madonna, for the, oh, God, sweaty today, for the nice shirt. Capitol Theater. Get your Capitol Theater gear. This is a really comfy shirt. I love it. Thank you, Joe. All my friends at Pete Shapiro's Cap Theater. Love you guys, too. We will see you tomorrow.